Hello, I'm Bob Dumay, Program Director of WCAP Radio in Lowell. I'd like to welcome you to a look around our station today. We'll take a brief tour of each of the facilities in the station. This office is used by the sales department. Any commercial radio station operates by selling its air time to advertisers who want to use it to get their message across to the people who are listening to the radio station. These gentlemen are salesmen working in our sales department and using the phone to contact clients and sell them time on the radio. And this is how we are able to pay our staff and keep the station on the air and provide the services for the community. Now, after they get an order, this goes to the front office, where the women in the front office take care of making sure it gets put on the program log, and also that the billing and other aspects of commerce get taken care of. Basically, with this machine you're watching now, it's a computer. We use it for logging purposes. Now, what a log is just a rundown every day that the announcer on the air gets that tells him every commercial and every program that runs on the station during a day. Now, after the log is made up, it will go into the studio, and this machine has a record of what went on the log and can turn that into a bill, and it all works right through this machine. This has been quite an investment. Computers not only are coming into the business end of radio, but also coming into the programming end as well. Many stations are automated and are completely run by computer or by machine, programmed by people, but the machine itself during most of the day handles the day-to-day and hour-to-hour programming. WCGY in Lawrence is an example of this. Listening to them, you might not know, but they are an automated station, and at any given moment there is probably nobody there live. This office here is used for creating copy. Now, copy is the written words that the announcer reads on the air, giving the message that the advertiser wants to send out to the listeners. Now, sales department has sold it. They've sent it to the front office where it was put on the log. Then it goes to the office you're seeing right now, where Rosemary, our copywriter, creates a piece of copy, an idea, takes the idea and creates a commercial for the advertiser involved. This copy is then typed up and either put in the control room to be read live, or it goes to the production studio and the production department. Mistakes are made in this department, and this is why commercials are put on tape many times, so that when it comes out over the air, it will be right. And this is what we go through in production. Many times there'll be 3 or 4 or 5 different takes made of the same commercial until it is done right.
At 813 Lakeview Avenue in Lowell today for Christmas greenery. The House of Flowers offers a 10%
In preparing for a job like this, what would a student, career, what steps would a student take in school?
Well, there are 2 different approaches, basically, actually 3, but the first one would be somebody who just had a heck of a lot of natural talent and just had a chance, and it's very difficult for it to happen today. Back in the 50s it happened more, and that is somebody who can just walk in off the street at a small town local station and get a job and go right from there. Now, there have been some people who have that kind of talent. J.J. Jeffrey, who some of you might remember was at RKO a few years ago, was from my hometown, and that's what he did. In high school he went to the local station, got a job, and went from there. But mostly you'd either go to college, and this is happening more and more today, or you can go to a 2-year junior college or school that is just a broadcasting school. Basically today your best bet is to go to college like anybody else. There are colleges that specialize in broadcasting or have speech departments or broadcasting majors, and this is your best bet. I think of the people we have working here on the air, all but about three out of about 8 or 9 have college degrees, and this is happening more and more and more. It's just a very involved business.
There's more and more competition.
Right. And it seems pretty simple when you listen on the outside, but there's a lot to it. When you're sitting in the seat either producing something or, as we'll later see, on the air, there are a lot of things going, and you try and get it right.
Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock and this is CAP News. Threats to blow up supposedly strategic locations in Oklahoma City have been made in letters from what's called the Popular Liberation Front.
Newsmen also would need the same basic kind of schooling, although they might go into, rather than a speech major or a broadcasting major, into a journalism major and kind of minor in broadcasting, because broadcasting and newspaper work are different as far as the news aspect. Radio and TV basically, and it isn't necessarily that we like it this way, but it's basically a headline media. We can only give the top of the story. For the in-depth look, you really have to go to magazines or newspapers. But we are an immediacy media, both radio and TV, where the minute it happens we can have it on, or in many cases we can be right there covering the story. This room here is where the news department basically writes up much of their local material, and also where we have police scanners which scan the fire and police departments and other emergency radio sources in the area, and we can get some idea of things that might be happening throughout the area. The news department locally will write up their own stories and go out and cover the stories in person themselves. Now, we also have 2 wire services, the 2 major ones in the country, United Press International and Associated Press. There are a couple others, but these are the 2 major ones. Most stations only have one or the other. We happen to have both, and they come in very handy. These keep going 24 hours a day, typing out news, both Massachusetts, regional, New England, and national and international. And they go 24 hours a day.
Teamwork seems to be an important aspect of this job.
Yeah, it's very, because if the front office gets something wrong on the log, then the announcer on the air is going to do it wrong, and the salesmen are going to be unhappy because the client's going to be unhappy that it was done wrong, and it's just a long circle process. Everything has got to work together. The newsman has to know what the announcer is going to do next, and vice versa. It's a constant thing that you have to be aware of what each department is doing and where they're heading. And this is why the newsman, as well as the announcer, disc jockey here, both have a copy of the program log so they know what's going on and what's going to come up next and what's happening.
We're just running this on part right now. Usually just about everything we play is on this. But a lot of our Christmas music and some of the ones that either have them coming on disc or the scratch or something we'll put on the car and play anywhere else.
People sometimes think the job is fairly simple, and it is a lot of fun. I can't deny that I have fun at my job, or I probably wouldn't be doing it. I probably wouldn't be in this business. But there is a lot of work to it, too. In between, we really don't listen to records all that much. They're there. They're kind of in the background all the time. But we're always getting material ready for the next thing that's going to come up, the next commercial or the next announcement we're going to do or the next record we have to play on the air. So it's a constant process of always trying to be 1 or 2 or 3 or hopefully 4 or 5 steps ahead of yourself. And this is a constant thing. We live by the clock, and we die by the clock, and it's a constant pressure business. Basically, it's a young man's business, too. Hope that doesn't mean my days are too numbered, but it is a younger man's business, especially on the rock scene. You do have several different kinds of radio stations. You, of course, have your top 40 stations, and we are basically a middle-of-the-road MOR contemporary station. And these kind of stations vary in the type of announcer that they would want. So if you don't fit one station, you might fit another. And they're everything from classical stations to the hardest top 40 you want to name.
The name and address of the nearby supermarket and a gun.
Your mood during the holidays. Bright, cheerful, warm, and colorful. Do it with flowers, plants, and floral accessories from Kenny Flowers. Your dinner table can be a celebration in itself with a festive centerpiece. Every room can reflect...
All of these commercials have an out scoop, and they all have tags, so we know exactly what the last word he said is. They all have the times, like this one's exactly 60. We're usually running to 60 or 30. The next one will be 57. And let you know if it comes in with music or talk, it's MC. If it comes in with music, we'll go out with talk. And the cue is holiday mood. When I hear him say holiday mood, I know the commercial's over and I hit the next one because there isn't any dead air.
It's a very creative field, and you really have an outlet for doing a lot of different things that you might want to do, and you can use your imagination a lot. And as I said earlier, it's a lot of fun. The broadcast media, a constantly changing thing. You're always on top of everything. You always almost know what's coming up next before the public does, because we get everything before the public finds out about it. And it's kind of exciting. I've been in it for, gee, I don't know, about 18 years now, since I was in high school, and it's been a fun time. The pay in the beginning is not the greatest. I'll be perfectly honest. It's a business where as the market gets bigger, as you get into a bigger market, you're going to get paid more, and as you get better, you're going to get paid more. But in the beginning, it's not a high-paying industry. Sales is can be very lucrative. The on-the-air end, which has the glamour aspect to it, is not as high-paying. That does not come until later. If you expect to make a fortune, I plan to go into sales and broadcasting rather than on the air. Although the on-the-air part is what most people know best.
1976 is the 9th year of America's most popular football prediction show, Computer Kickoff. Computer Kickoff, based on the projections of a computer that has been programmed with such sophistication that its track record over thousands and thousands of football.
And 4:10 p.m.
As I said earlier, he's constantly getting something ready. In this case, he's getting ready to go into that next record, which he just did. And it's a constant process of always being ready so that you don't leave any blanks on the air, or what we call dead air. This is our copywriter, Rosemary, again, bringing in a change of announcement for the guy who's on the air. Something's always happening, and it's fascinating from that standpoint. And if you want a kind of field where you're always one step ahead of everything else, this is the one. It's a lot of fun.